January 24th, 2024 meeting of the Rhode Island Bridge and Turnpike Authority. Is there any public comment for anything? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes of the December 13th, 2023 meeting? Motion by Peter Gennaro, second by Karen. Discussion, hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the ayes have it. Thank you. Next, Partners Technology Proof of Concept Credit Card Demo for New Back Office. Kate, that's a mouthful, huh?
Yes, it is. So in December 2023, we're working with Partners Technology. They're our qualified on-call consultants that we qualified in 2022 to take over our entire phone systems, not just the EasyPens phone system, but all of the phone system. So we wanted to make some changes. It was recommended by Chris Mount, our IT consultant, as well as our back office provider, Movis, to use secure tokenized merchant services. So the way we collect credit card information right now from customers, they verbally will give us the whole card number over the phone along with the expiration date. This now, this proof of use case was used to, everything will now be tokenized. The phone system will actually require the customer to enter all of their own information. So that information will never come across to the customer service representative. It significantly decreases our chances for any type of fraud. It makes us very PCI compliant. The total cost, not to exceed $9,000. It's included in the budget for this year. And we deemed the weight as both reasonable and justified and are recommending approval.
So I have a motion to approve.
I'll move.
Motion, seconded,
I
discussion.
have a question. Yes. This sounds really worthwhile. This and item number 5 sound really worthwhile. I'm a little concerned about
Yep. Morning. Sorry. Apologies.
I'm concerned about the dollar value. There's just a flat amount. There's this one and item number 5. And if you take a look at item number 9 as an example, number 8. If you look at number 8 as an example, this was negotiated, it wasn't negotiated, there were very detailed information provided by the consultant, hours and rates and so on, to achieve a particular value, but that's a not to exceed value. And then what happens, instead of billing that exact total amount, the amount that's billed is what they actually use. So I'm concerned, as an example, so that one on item number 8 is 21,000 change. But if those hours aren't used, then the Turnpike and Bridge Authority does not pay anything more. We only pay what hours are used. And you know, I think it's our responsibility as a board for fiscal responsibility. So that's, I don't know what your response is to that.
Sure. I mean, construction service contracts are a lot different than IT related. We know exactly how much it's going to cost. We know what their base rate is. It's $225 an hour, which for IT services, surprisingly, that's low. So when we qualified them as on call, that was the rates that they provided. We did have partners edit item number 5 to include it. It's 132 hours times $225 per hour, which is a little over 3 weeks worth of time for a 40-hour work week. They told us it would be about 3 to 3.5 weeks. So this comes out to 3.2 weeks, what they estimated. It's not going to be more than that. It's not going to be less than that.
And Kate, that's not to exceed, correct?
It's the exact amount.
Yeah, it's the exact.
No, but my point is, Mr. Chairman, is that if they do half the work, they're still going to bill the same amount. Whereas if the consultant on item number 8 does half the work, we pay half the amount.
And I understand what you're saying, but I think, and correct me if I don't want to speak for you, Kate, but I think what you're saying, Kate, is that you sat down with your individuals and you figured that over time, all in would be what, 3.5? Is that what you said?
They said a little over 3 weeks.
So they figured 3.5. And not to repeat what Kate said, technology is a lot different than construction. I mean, they're both difficult to figure out. I'm not discounting either one, but I think I understand what you're saying.
Yes, and I think a few other times I've come before the board with exact dollar amounts. Most recently, the Amovis consolidated invoice, that was an exact amount of hours, the amount of staff that's allocated for it, that's an exact amount. I can work with the
I have
vendors.
a question. If they go over the amount of time that is necessary, that they
We're still
say,
paying that, just that.
so it's fixed price?
It's fixed.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Yeah.
that's why I said that's it.
Yeah.
It's not to exceed, correct? Okay.
So they're assuming some of the risk for it actually taking more time. Gotcha. Thank you.
So we had a motion that was duly seconded, and we still have discussion.
Okay.
You
I'd
good?
just like to ask the question, maybe legal counsel, whoever is is this approach, and that's my main concern, is this in accordance with our procurement regulations? Is this allowed in our procurement? Is it, because it seems to be saying it's sole source, and that's a different thing.
Well, we went out and did an RFP, and this firm was selected.
Right.
So I think we had two proposals. One was completely inadequate. They had the best proposal. They've already helped us save about $10,000 a year on the elevator phones. They are adding value, and I think the price at $225 per hour is definitely reasonable.
Yeah, I'm not
Is the-
debating that. Yeah.
Yep, is the RFP based on a scoring system?
It was. It was.
Okay.
I believe
And
we
that,
had percentage.
and that is allowed under the procurement, the Rhode Island procurement laws, is that correct?
I'm sorry.
It
was all.
An RFP that's based on a scored best value as opposed to fixed price and or hourly rate is an approved procurement method, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
So you're saying that this approach is in accordance with the procurement regulations of Turnpike and Bridge Authority?
Yep. We follow 37-2.
All right?
I mean, I would imagine in this case, this is a vendor who does this regularly. They know what it's going to take. They know there's not going to be unknowns like a construction project. I think it's different.
It's a little bit different, but I do understand where Peter's coming
Yeah.
from. The IT world is a different realm, that's for sure, but this is also a one-time cost. As you know, we started this in 2022. We've been doing pieceworks. We've come before the board a few times. You know, we updated the queue wait time, made some customer service improvements. At the beginning of January, we finally switched over to the new server, which was a little bit crazy for everyone here. That is now done, and these two are kind of the last couple pieces that will now support the new back office.
Thanks.
Further discussion.
That answers my question.
So we had a motion, it was duly seconded. Further discussion, hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the ayes have it. Thank you very much, Peter and Kate. Next, next item on the agenda is Partners Technology Phone IVR Core Flow Updates to Easy Pass Phone System.
I know we touched upon this just a little bit a moment ago, but same, this is for the scope of work for Partners Technology to migrate our current workflow system on the tolling side to the new back office requirements. Some of them will support the previous board meeting item. Other updates are for the IVR, the interactive voice response, where customers can make changes over the phone by themselves. Transferring calls from customer service reps to the secure tokenization system, and then a couple other things that will help the customer service reps. This all has to, basically the interface has to change to tie into the new back office. This is, now that we're on the new server, we can move forward with this design and this work. The final cost will be $29,700, and this is also included in the 2024 budget.
If I could just add, if anyone has ever called, I think it's Lifespan, if you call lifespan to make a payment, they will say to you, we're going to put you on, the customer service rep will say, I'm going to step away, I'm going to put you on, I'm going to leave this phone call for a moment, you're going to put your credit card in, I will then come back. It takes the customer service rep completely out of the transaction with your credit card, thereby enhancing our cybersecurity protection. So that's the idea. Am I, Katie, have I correctly put that in
That's partial of this. Yeah.
layman's terms?
absolutely.
Questions?
Yes. The Rhode Island image-based transaction was included as a result of...
Oh, you're jumping ahead, Director.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's the next one?
Yes.
Okay, sorry.
Okay. Any questions? Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve? Motion by Carol, seconded by Karen. Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the ayes have it. Thank you, Kate. Next is contract 21-06, and how do you pronounce that? Amovis?
Amovis.
Customer Service Back Office Support System Contract Terms Update.
Sure. So as we know, Rideout's no longer tolling, and our original contract 21-6 supported both RIPA and Rideout back office services. So RIPA's been negotiating with Amovis for new terms and conditions, including the basically we really needed to reduce the operations and maintenance costs. The original 5-year term was going to be $5.75 million or $95,834 a month. We've negotiated to change the initial base contract term to 6 years guaranteed to Amovis, with an annual fee of $764,000 or $63,698 per month. It's about a 10% increase from what we're paying now, so we were very pleased with the dollar amounts. We just wanted to bring before the board that it was originally a 5-year term. Now we'd like it to be a 6-year base term. And in addition, on top of that, after the first year, we will add an annual CPIU Northeast Region adjustment to the terms. We would have been, on the hook for the entire maintenance that include both RIPA and RIDA, so we are very pleased with this negotiation and recommend approval by the board.
Questions?
Yes. This is the one, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So we left it in there to highlight the changes that we were making, so that
Okay.
is going to be removed.
Okay, so that it'll be reduced by that amount.
That was just in there as an additional
Okay.
line item, if, and that's in there as well for us for image-based transactions, it's charge 0.01. So we kind of tried to highlight all of the changes that would be coming out.
Right. And that signifies the pause that we put at RIDOT on collecting the truck tolls, right?
Yes.
Okay, great, thanks.
We worked very hard to get to.
I know you did.
We worked very hard to get
I
to
know,
zero.
and I
this came
appreciate
before-
that.
Yes,
Yep, I
and we did get to zero.
Thank you.
Which we
Thank you
needed
very
to
much.
do.
And
You
we
did-
are
you did
grateful
good.
to Amovis as well.
Yes.
Thanks.
Amovis worked with us.
Very good.
Okay. Further questions? Hearing none, do I have a motion to accept? Motion by Karen, do I have a second? Second by Darrell. Discussion, hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Next is the Mount Hope Bridge main cable trial flow test and construction contract.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. I'll be presenting
Morning,
that from
Jeff.
the Director of Engineering, who is actually on the phone listening to the meeting. As we do that. A portion of the design for the Mount Hope main cable blow test includes the blow test. The authority advertised an invitation for bid. We received 3 bids from 3 qualified companies. They range from $1.46 million to $2.2 million. Hewitt Infrastructure Company was the apparent low bidder. The bid did come in well above the estimate that was provided by the design consultant. We had the design consultant do a bid review. The bid review provided some answers to it, and we actually had Hewitt in to ask some questions. Some of the things that changed in the industry, the original blow tests that were performed on 2 other bridges, mainly the Ben Franklin Bridge and the Verrazano Narrows, did not include exhaust sleeves and injection sleeves. So their data was a little skewed, and they are having issues with their dehumidification project. So our blow test will include injection sleeves and exhaust sleeves, so we get a flow rate that makes sure we have a design that works accordingly. So we feel that the bid is appropriate. The authority will provide some support to reduce the cost by a potential $200,000 by doing traffic control, because traffic control on the Montauk Bridge is kind of difficult. We want to make sure we have as little impact as possible for this test. So we are asking the board to approve a construction contract with Kiewit to perform the blow test in an amount not to exceed $1.469 million.
Have you worked with this firm in the past?
No, so Kiewit is a very large infrastructure engineering company. They're just getting into the bridge dehumidification portion of it. So the blow test is crucial to the design, and we feel that they're an adequate company to perform.
They were the,
No,
they were one of the partners on the joint venture that built the Jamestown Bridge. It was Atkinson Kiewit.
Okay.
So.
And so you're familiar with them, and
Yeah, they're big.
and they could work, I mean,
They're a huge.
very, very reputable.
Yes, now it's just
But I-
Kiewit, it
but I
used to
have
be Atkinson.
I have a question about the,
Of course.
I have a question about AECom. What happened here? I mean, it's like their original,
So
their
the
original estimate
was
was,
based on some work that was performed on the GW Bridge.
yeah,
The original blow test, all they would do is wrap the cable, see how long the air would go, and make sure that it would bubble wrap it,
yeah,
find out how much air would go through, soap spray it, make sure there was no leaks. That data is inadequate, and we've learned that from the Ben Franklin Bridge. The Ben Franklin Bridge does not have enough injection and exhaust ports. They cannot get their relative humidity down to the target level
Gotcha.
that they want to. So the blow test now is different. You actually fabricate an injection sleeve, and you fabricate an exhaust port, and you get a flow rate.
Gotcha.
Not just that you have flow, you want to know the rate of flow. That will determine the distance between the injection port and the exhaust port.
yeah.
Our bridge is unique. There's only two that have been dehumidified that have oiled cables. So to get this portion of the design right is critical to make sure that the project is successful.
I get that. But AECom was your technical consultant on the project, right?
Yes, sir.
And wouldn't they have known that before they developed the $600,000 estimate?
This is a fluke. This is changing in the industry now.
Yeah.
There are mistakes. AECom is looking for bridge owners that have this problem, and that's how this was discovered. So
Yeah.
initial probably didn't realize that this portion of the blow test had been performed.
Okay. Does the authority have the wherewithal to make up the difference in how, from a financial planning
Yes.
standpoint? And it won't affect our other,
Not at all.
So
okay.
the project, it does seem that this will be absorbed in the budget without going
Yep,
over
okay.
budget on this project.
All right.
how long will it take for them to do the,
5 weeks is the plan for this project. They have to get up, make some access, then bring a truck in with a blower, put pipe up on it, and then monitor it.
so what do they do? Well, one side?
They're doing some panels. They have selected panels they're gonna do, where they cut away the sleeve, they'll add those, they cut away the existing wrapper,
Yeah.
they'll add that sleeve to it, they'll wedge it, they'll inject it with air, they'll get an exhaust reading on it, they'll get the flow rate, how much is coming through, the relative humidity, providing all that.
Jeff, you might just explain, well, I think you did partially, but just in terms of what the impact is from this on the overall project to dehumidify.
So the, excuse me, the impact will be how many exhaust sleeves and the distance between injection and exhaust. So, for example, the bridge in Halifax, the McKay Bridge, they put one injection sleeve and one exhaust port at the other end. They cannot achieve the relative humidity. They're doing a $15 million overhaul of the original system because the design was incorrect at the beginning, and they can't get the air travel through the cables.
If I could just add,
Yeah, sure.
we're going on a field trip to the Benjamin Franklin Bridge, because that is the other bridge that has oiled cables and a dehumidification system, so that's in about a week. Also, if this item is approved, I will be reaching out to all the stakeholders, far and wide, hospitals, schools, obviously the towns that are anchored on either end of the bridge, to tell them what the impact will be. The impact will be about 55 days of one lane at a time crossing the Mount Hope Bridge. We will do it 9 to 3. Monday through Thursday, and 9 to 1 on Friday, so we will not be, we hope, we will not be impacting the commute in, and we will not be impacting the commute out in the afternoon by ending at 3. We've already asked the critical questions, which is, can it be done at night? No. Could we shorten the time when we have to inconvenience people like this by doing it on Saturdays and Sundays? No. The gains are not worth the pain. You know, there's
What's
no.
the
And it will be done by the
What's
Roger
the-
Williams commencement.
what's the timing on it?
March, they'll start if.
We're initiating in March.
And I have that.
You're going to start it in March of this year, and it'll be done 55 days.
55 days.
It'll be done by-
working days is the
yeah.
project.
We've,
Okay.
no nights, no weekends, and not during rush hour on either end.
That's a big one.
Have you had a traffic analysis done, that modeling of what we should suspect the wait times are going to be?
We just use our regular data that we've used
Estimates.
historically, and we know the busy times, the peak times.
Yeah.
Just from internal maintenance we do as well, closures we do, so that 9 to 3 seems to work well.
Do you hire police officers?
So we take care of the traffic ourselves.
You do?
Yes.
And so if you, it sounds like you're gonna close one lane down.
We'll do alternating traffic when the
Right.
blow test is,
Right.
when we do lane closures, our staff will be doing the MPT. They'll make sure they keep traffic flowing because they're in constant contact with the TMT. The TMT has cameras at the intersections that they approach on the Bristol side, so they'll let them know if there's any backups, and then they'll alternate the traffic patterns.
And you'll work with.
In addition to that, we've been, in the last 3 years, we've been training our people in flagging operations. Normally it's every 2 years. We do it every year. In fact, this Thursday, we're looking at some problem issues that came up, and we're constantly refreshing them, trying to be cognizant of the flow rates on that bridge. We understand the impact that it has. So we're trying to get our people as up to date as possible when we do these things. In one of our trainings, our trainer came in and kind of did a tabletop. Just came in, presented a situation, and said, okay, tell me how you're going to lay this thing out and how you're going to handle the flow. So we're really trying to challenge them, not to be people holding the sign. We want them to interact with the traffic and understand.
Wasn't this bridge closed for like a year at one
In
point? if I
1985.
remember?
85, yeah.
Yeah.
Most of the year.
Yeah, that was reduced.
So that was, yeah, 85. The traffic volumes have changed a little bit since then.
But still.
Yeah. Have you had any one lane closures of lately that you've experienced there?
Yes,
for
during the
construction?
time frames that the executive director spoke about, the
85.
9 to 3.
1985.
No,
No, no, no.
9 to 3. We
9 to 3, we
do
go one
one-lane
lane.
closures
Oh,
now.
yeah, okay. So when have we experienced the one-lane closure recently?
We did the Piasecki performed the scuppers,
Yeah.
they extended all the scuppers. We had daily closures during the same time when we had traffic as well.
And what was the experience with the traffic at that point? What were the wait times typically?
They weren't really significant.
Really?
Because
Okay.
they worked it, once you get past the rush hour.
Yeah.
The biggest problem is you gotta pay attention to the Portsmouth side, that intersection.
The intersection.
As you know,
Yeah.
that's a complicated intersection.
Yeah.
So you wanna keep it from backing up into that intersection.
So you got some lessons learned from that
Yes.
experience?
Yeah, so
Good.
with the traffic management technicians, keep an eye on the traffic flow,
Yeah.
and we use 800 radios so they communicate directly right to the operators on the
Okay.
roadway.
And just to add in a little more history, when I was here as the engineering director, we changed I'm not sure everybody knows this, we changed out the suspender ropes on the Mount Hope Bridge
Yeah.
under live traffic conditions. And that was over a couple months, 3 or 4 months period, but it was exactly the same way, whereas.
One lane?
Yeah, one lane, alternating
Alternating.
traffic, and it worked fine during the
Okay.
day. Yeah.
All right.
That was limited to like 9 to 3, the same
Okay,
thing.
good luck.
Thank you.
Is this work weather dependent at all?
Weather could have an impact on it, but in the spring you would get snow. So. And we asked them to do it at night. The problem is they gotta be up on the cables. And between visibility and night work on a cable, it's really not the safest to do. So we had thought about that. It wouldn't be fair to the workers to put them in a dangerous spot at night,
Yep.
low visibility, and the data may be different too, because you're looking for leaks. You have to inspect this cable for leaks while you do the test.
Yeah.
Night wouldn't be,
And this will add how much, life to the bridge?
So we're expecting another 50 years of life out of the cable once we do this. Once we get the relative humidity down below 40%, corrosion stops. So we'll keep the factor of safety on this bridge probably for another 50 years.
Great.
Long after I'm
Maybe
gone.
75.
All right,
Make a motion?
we have a motion.
Second.
Second, discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, yes. Nice job, thank you. Next, routine inspection of fishing pier, access road bridge, and adjacent sheet pile wall task order.
So the federal highway requires inspections every 2 years. Fishing Pier Access Road Bridge is due in the next 2 months. The sheet pile on the south side of the approach from the North Kingston side has never been inspected since it's been turned over to RIPTA for care and custody. So we're recommending we inspect that. That was originally designed to be a temporary sheet pile. So we'd like to know what's going on with that. Parallel to this, the previous inspection of Fishing Pier Access Road identified some repairs. Those repairs were included in our capital plan. We issued a letter of interest to 7 of our on-call consultants for repair designs. 5 responded. The selection committee felt that GM2 had the best response. GM2 is a local consultant. They are also formerly Gordon Archibald, who did original design and construction for the Jamestown horizontal bridge. We would like them to design the repairs to Fishing Access Road bridge, and we need to replace 7 joints on the Jamestown approach. So they're going to design that as well. So we felt it was prudent that this consultant do the inspection of the bridge prior to the design of the repairs to the bridge. So we didn't go out for quotes for this inspection. We awarded it to GM2 as an on-call. So they submitted this price of $21,052 to perform that inspection. That'll help them in the design of the repairs to the Fishing Pier Road Bridge and a future joint replacement on the approach to the Jamestown Bridge. So we're requesting a task order not to exceed $21,052 for inspection of the Fishing Pier Access Road Bridge and the sheet piles that are adjacent to the Fishing Pier Access Road.
Motion approved?
We have a motion, second. Discussion?
Back to my point originally when I was discussing with Katie, is that this is a not to exceed value, so if they spend less effort on it than projected, we pay less than the 21,000. Okay.
Further questions? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the ayes have it. Thank you. Next is Newport Bell Compression Link Repair Design Construction Support Services.
So we've completed the examination of the compression link pin. This is the next portion of it. So this is a request for a task order in an amount not to exceed $315,417 for design of the repair. So this is for design of the repair and construction support services provided by WSP. This does not include the repair. So once we get a design and an order of magnitude for the repair, we will come back to the board with a price for the repair. So this is for the design for the repair and the construction support services. So we're requesting a task order not to exceed $315,417.72.
Questions?
This is a very complex engineering, and it really deserves a lot of detailed information on the design, and I think it'll help us because there are other similar structures on the bridge, the compression links. So I think it makes sense to really study this and have a template for anything else that might happen in the future. So I think this is
Money well spent.
Yes, exactly.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Peter, second by Darrell. Discussion. Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you. Next, automated electronic tolling system conversions and roadway improvements for the Claiborne, Pell, Newport Bridge toll plazas. Contingency for change orders.
So we're in the initial stages of our construction project for the AET conversion. During pre-stage 1, where Lynch was working on the center portion of structure E, it was identified that the deck had some delamination issues. We immediately had extra cores taken for the deck surface itself. That identified a past overlay that had been performed. The deck was delaminating throughout the entire structure. Our initial plans to just resurface the deck were not going to work. We went back to design. The design includes a full replacement of the deck. Lynch issued a credit for the rehabilitation of the deck. They came up with a cost for a full replacement. We're underway with the replacement right now as we speak. That change order netted us about, it was originally, we got $2.1 million of credit, so the difference would be $1.6 million. In the meantime, there was another RFI issued for a change order for a missed quantity on common borrow.
What is that?
So common borrow is fill that's used to elevate these ramps in the areas that you're going to put the roadway. So basically it's fill. It can either be used from on-site or trucked in from the outside. So you need to do that as you're building these ramps and extending the roadway out. So there was a quantity in the original construction contract that was identified. That was not enough. There's also another potential change order for trimming and fine gradings. We're still in discussion with that.
What is that?
So that's the final surface cut before you pave. So you would build up an area to within 3 or 4 inches of where your paving line is going to be.
Okay.
Then the final trimming and fine grading would bring that up to ½ inch in tolerance. Typically, that's a separate line item in a construction contract. It was included in the lump sum for the roadway in this contract. We're still in discussion with Lynch about that. There may be a change order, there may not be. We're in preliminary. We do know one has been submitted for the common borrow. We've not had any impact on schedule. We're below the total budgeted amount, so that was allocated in the pay item. So we're up against, that will come back at the end if we get to that budgeted amount. So what we're requesting is a contingency of $3 million to handle the current change order on the deck, the change order that's coming on the common borrow, any potential change orders that come up between now and completion of the project, which will expedite this and keep it on schedule. If there are any change orders, we would bring them to the board for identification. This $3 million, although it's over the bid amount of $10 million, still keeps us under the initial budget for the whole project. So we're not asking for any money over the budgeted amount of the project. It is an extension of the original bid of $10.7 million, and that'll put us up to budget.
So by doing what you're requesting, we keep the project flowing.
Yes, sir.
No delays, because we don't need that, especially with the summer months coming upon us.
We continue to stress that the schedule is critical for this project. This will allow us to adapt to any future issues if they arise quickly, and then we'll come back to the board if there's anything that's updated.
Okay. Thank you. Peter?
Yes, I have some questions here.
So I do want to say that we have Bernie from WSP to answer any questions too. He's a guest that we've asked to come today if there are any questions.
All right. Well, this might be appropriate then, because my question is, there's a 53-year-old bridge, structure E, that little bridge that's up there, and it was known that it was 53 years old, and there was a discussion about what makes sense for that structure, and it was determined it was going to be an overlay. But could somebody answer me, why weren't cores taken at that time? Because I don't see how you can evaluate the deck of a 50-some-year-old bridge without doing cores. And
There
that,
were work orders back in 2006. They did not extend down to the delaminated part because to go all the way through the deck, it would have been it's a extensive repair and it could further damage the deck. So in 2006, there were work orders taken, the large cores. As part of this investigation, we were concerned with chlorides. So we did do cores, they were small diameter cores that did not pick up that delamination, and it also did not pick up that overlay that we were not aware of, that there were no record plans for.
hasn't been, your company been the engineer of record since the beginning of this bridge?
And actually, originally, the original proposal was a full superstructure replacement for that. As the project went on, the cost became excessive. So the approach was to do more detailed evaluations, which we did. We did soundings, we did the additional ASR cores, but we also identified this as a risk. And we put a very high contingency on, just in case this would happen, that we would have sufficient funds in that budget to be able to account for that. So we knew it was a risk, but we took this approach knowing that we had a backup plan to be able to address it if we found significant deterioration and delamination, which we actually did.
But if I understood correctly, then you did go back and do full course? That's how you finally did
The
that?
full cores were only done after, when Lynch was on the site, when the deck was already being ripped up. So at that point, it was going to be, it was just.
So you found this as a result of doing the construction?
Correct, that's correct.
And when the new construction uncovered these previously unknown defects?
Yeah, in the median,
Gotcha.
the median area. And the
Gotcha.
median area was always the part that had the most significant deterioration through the soundings. And that was always going to be a full depth replacement, a deck replacement.
Very familiar with these kinds of circumstances.
So these were always more identified, like I said, we
53-year-old bridges, that's what you get. Yep, gotcha.
Well, part of the concern obviously is that the cores weren't done, but the effect that it's had on us is that, and I'm sure everybody did a great job of trying to get this change order to be reasonable, but I always think of it's not necessarily the same as competitively bid in terms of the price you ultimately get. And I understand the contractor's been reasonable, sure has done their due diligence, but I don't think you get the same value by doing that. And then the other thing, that it's put us in a box in terms of the schedule. I think everybody's already concerned, even before this started, about the schedule and the impact on traffic. So
yeah, we've been very clear with Lynch, and they're on board that they have to be back to 2 lanes, before the springtime and summer traffic, comes back. So that has always been very clear, and they've been providing updated schedules that have us back to 2 lanes. I think we're now, what is it, April? or
Mid-May.
May 17th.
May 17th. So,
And we're still on schedule.
Absolutely.
As of today.
and thankfully, we have good weather, that poured the deck.
okay, I don't think we've had a full discussion on the common borrow. If I saw the numbers correctly, there was, what was originally? Okay, I think in the bid document, you had 750 yards, and we're up to 5,800 yards already, and not done yet.
So I think that will be the final number. We don't have any anticipation of there being more after that, but that was primarily because of the material that was excavated from the site was unsuitable. The borings were showing us about 6 inches of organics and muck. And when they ended up stripping the soil, it actually was more like 1.5 feet of unsuitable material. So almost all of the material that we were taking out of here was unsuitable for reuse on the project. So that was the primary reason for that increase.
Is that,
That's correct. Yes.
yeah,
We're up to about 5,941 cubic yards as of yesterday. And you gotta back out to 750, so that you did that difference.
mhm. And again, we're put in the position of paying more perhaps, because if the original unit, the original amount was 5,800, I expect that the unit price would have been less.
And actually, Eric, who I think is on the phone, we've put them on notice that we expect a decreased unit price because of the increased quantity. So we are waiting for a response. We have a call later with Lynch today where we'll bring that topic back up. So we are expecting, and we mentioned that we should have a smaller unit cost because we have a larger
So you've
quantity.
already reached out and that's being addressed.
Yes, sir. We notified Lynch that under the contract, we have the ability to negotiate the weighted average unit price. When it extends past a certain percentage, we've notified them that we'll be negotiating that price. Currently, it's $60 a cubic yard.
What was the number?
$60.
60?
So if I could just sort of chime in
Sure,
here and
absolutely.
distill this into what this item is asking. The staff here is asking that the board authorize us to have an additional amount not to exceed 3 million. Of that 3 million, 1.6 is the structure E work, and we all know we got to put structure E back together in order to keep this project going forward and on time. So that leaves us about $1.4 million. There isn't, Jeff, correctly, if I'm not saying this correctly, there's not necessarily 1.4 million left in the other two items, the common borrow and the trimming and fine grading.
That is
Those are to
correct.
be
We don't have a final
negotiated.
contract.
We're asking for that discretion. We don't spend the money here. Eric and Jeff and Katie, and we don't spend the money here lightly. And we're tough negotiators, and Bernie Callis knows that. So that 1.4 million would be the outside to work out these other issues and not have any delays, because the possibility could be that Lynch is ready to do work and the board hasn't authorized it because for good, perhaps there's a meeting that there's no quorum, so a meeting doesn't take place, Lynch needs to proceed and doesn't have the board approval, or Lynch does the work, submits a bill, and Jeff looks at me and says, I'm not in the position to pay this because the board hasn't acted yet to approve. So that's the reason. So it's the 1.6 and 1.4 that make up that 3 million that we're asking that the board authorize the staff to proceed to keep this project on.
Peter?
Yep. So let me understand. There's a $3 million contingency that you have not used as of this date,
That's correct.
that you're intending to use for these items.
And that 3
Some of
million
it.
is still within the budget.
That keeps some of the total
So
project.
the $3 million contingency was available as part of the original budget
Yeah.
of this, and you'll be using that. Are there any other kinds of unforeseen conditions that, at this point, you are anticipating?
I mean, right in the beginning of the design, as Peter had alluded to, this was always a risk.
No, I understand that.
So we don't-
I'm asking going forward
Right
from
now,
here.
there is nothing on the horizon that looks like it's.
In the rest of the scope, do you see any possibility of there being an additional item that would come up in the scope that's left to do?
Not, like I said, all the high-risk items are the ones that we're talking about.
You're by them now.
Yeah.
It's just,
There are no other high-risk items that you originally identified for this contingency that are left to do?
No, not on the civil side, not on the civil infrastructure side.
What other side is there?
The other,
My side,
yeah, that's one thing we didn't.
the gantry.
Oh, the gantry. So the gantry also was part of this, but,
No, separate.
okay, but that,
well, the
so it's a different
construction
budget.
of the gantry
I think
is-
that's why it's not.
Okay, I'm talking about this particular project in this budget.
Sorry, yes.
Okay, so there's no other high-risk items that you originally included with the possibility of using the contingency for?
That's correct.
Okay,
That's correct.
all right.
Further questions? discussion? We have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
We have a motion that was duly seconded, further discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the ayes have it. Thank you very much. Capital project status.
I'll take that. We've already touched on a couple of them that are included here, the suspension cable and anchorage. We're going to move forward with the blow test. That design continues. AET project, we've updated you on the change orders and the status of that right now. We are on schedule for that right now. The only compression links we're going to design for the repair, as Peter has mentioned, that's a very complicated design. There is another bridge that has performed some compression link replacements. We've reached out to them. We may do a field trip to them as well. Eric and I participate in a bridge owners group workshop. We meet every 3 or 4 months. There's about 5 different bridge authorities that we kind of hash out what we're doing on each bridge, our projects, and we've gained a lot of knowledge on repairs and capital projects by dealing with these other authorities. So this will be the second trip we travel to. We've already been to Delaware. We're going to go to Ben Franklin. So that's been very informative as we move forward with these projects.
When you check out the Ben Franklin, you see the size of the cables there? Our cable's about like 15 inches in diameter. They're 3 feet. I walked them some years ago.
36 inches.
Yeah.
And the safety barriers feasibility study, that is on track. We have weekly and bi-weekly meetings with them. We are on task to get a draft feasibility report by February of 2024 for the Mount Hope and the Jamestown, and December of 2024 for the Newport Pell and the Secaucus. So that's moving forward as well. Any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Financial reports, Jeff, so.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As always, I'll make this quick, but feel free to ask any questions on my notes that I have on the financial statement. First of all, financial performance continues to be strong through November. I'm seeing that in December as well. So I expect this positive performance to continue throughout the rest of the fiscal year. With respect to the budget, total revenue is higher than budget by $3.1 million, or approximately 17%, while operating expenses are lower by $100,000, or approximately 2%. Personnel expenses, utilities, contractual services, insurance are all lower than budget, while other supplies and expenses, repairs and maintenance, and bridge inspections are higher. And our transponder expenses were pretty much flat to budget. With respect to performance versus prior year, our revenue was high by $800,000 or 4%, while our year-to-date operating expenses were higher by approximately $65,000 or 1%. Again, utilities, contractual services, other supplies and expenses, repairs and maintenance and bridge inspections were all lower than prior year, while our personnel expenses and our insurance expenses were higher. Again, I'd be happy to comment on any questions that you may have on the financial notes, but all is well on the financial side.
Thank you, John. Questions? Okay. Now, you're up.
So I thought I would start by asking Remy, our IT consultant, if he could, so that you can all see the progress in the road design. This is a real quick video showing you what we did on the eastbound side of the plaza. This is obviously with the traffic continuing, there's great care.
Looks like an earthquake.
And there it goes. And there it goes. So when you drove in this morning, you probably said, gee, something's missing. So
What did you do with the toll booths?
the toll booths were part of the demolition process. The demolition company actually owns whatever it demolishes. However, we do know that there have been a few inquiries about the toll booths. They are not the original toll booths from 1969. I believe they actually came from Texas at some later date.
Yeah,
You
even
would-
when I was there.
Yep.
So we have toll booth collectors?
We have people who have inquired about perhaps
I'm sure they
repurposing a booth somewhere at a park that maybe needs one, or preserving one for posterity for the
So they
historical
haven't been
value.
destroyed?
So we have some on the westbound
They
side.
have been
So,
destroyed?
the ones on the
Be
other
crushing
side,
it.
the ones that you saw, when you saw that come down. when you
That's
saw
scary.
Those
Remember,
are
we Peter
gone.
Brown was down.
However, we still have 3 on the westbound side, so.
You put the bucket on top of the toll booth and just squashed it like a beer
Okay.
can.
Let's put the ones on
I don't
the
know
other
if he
side.
was one.
No, no.
The ones on the westbound side, which you cannot see in this video, are still sitting there. And we will preserve at least one until everyone.
So if someone wanted to buy, they would have to contact.
It's really the property of Lynch,
That's what I was just gonna say.
Right.
but I'm sure we could work with Lynch and figure it out.
The demolition company is Kinetic. They did a great job of making certain, in fact, they postponed this one day because the wind was just slightly off and they were concerned about the traffic that's riding right alongside this demolition, and they made certain that they went to the next day before they did this. So this project is proceeding. We've had a lot of discussion about this, all appreciated, about how this project is going today. And as Katie mentioned, the second half of this project, once we finish the road design, and I have stressed that what we're doing is fixing a road that was really meant for cars that were coming to a complete stop at the toll booths. Now we have traffic, as you know, going speed limit or better, free flow tolling, free flow traffic, and so the road needed to be straightened out. So it's to everyone's benefit, the local area as well as, it's safety, the safety component. So that's that. I just wanted to briefly mention the Washington Bridge, the impact that has had on our operations, and specifically, as you know, what we did to help people who were not used to paying a toll to get to work, because the day after the announcement about the reconfiguration of the traffic on the Mount Hope Bridge, on the Washington Bridge. We experienced traffic here because some of the apps on people's phones were suggesting that people come all the way from Barrington and even beyond in Swansea, make the loop all the way down around the Pell Bridge to go to TF Green Airport, to go to Providence, to go shopping in the days before Christmas. So we had, decided that the thing to do was to help people who were not used to paying a toll by, giving the transponders at no cost. The date we implemented that, we knew that some people had already figured that out, that was the right thing to do. Smart thing to do, to pay 83 cents if you're a Rhode Island resident in a passenger vehicle. So they had already come in. We had already started to see an uptick in the number of transponders we were selling. So to be fair to those who had already come in to do that and had thought ahead, we rolled it back 2 weeks, I believe. So if you had already come in and done that before we announced it, we rolled it back and gave back the $10 for the transponder. So we did that, and we did see, and we continue to see, an uptick in traffic. We see some congestion in westbound that we were not seeing in the afternoons after these projects. When the Washington Bridge situation took place, we did have some inspection work going on. We had also, on the Pell Bridge, we also had this road redesign project going on, and we did see some congestion on the westbound side in the afternoon, which we had not seen even with our projects going on. So the number of transponders we received from the 1st of December to the 5th of January, we received 4,284 transponder requests, and that was about 1,400 more than the previous year for the same time. We also experienced some increase, and we continue to experience some increase in traffic on the Pell Bridge.
What is the percentage increase?
I'm going to look to Jeff because we were just discussing what the number is of additional vehicles.
From December 12th through the 31st, it was approximately 50,000 additional vehicles, which is probably in the 8 to 12% range.
8 to 12% increase. Okay.
Just for that stub period.
And that the 50,000 vehicles is both ways 25 each?
Yes, total.
Okay.
Yeah. And you saw it spike in that first 2 weeks. It was as much as 22% in a particular day.
Yeah.
And then towards the end of the month, it was 5, 6, 7%.
What is it, you know what about it is now, like during the last few weeks?
I know we're about 10,000 vehicles over in January compared to prior year.
So
So I would have, so I would say it's about 6,000 or 7,000 more vehicles so far this month.
Okay.
And
So
a guesstimate would be that more than 50% of that is westbound.
Okay.
Because of people, because the Waze app immediately told people to come down and use
way.
Pell.
So
to the
six,
airport.
right now, we're standing about 6,000,
Total vehicles,
Which is-
more than what I would have expected.
which is what, about
It's probably about 7%.
7%? Okay. All right, thanks.
And the next board meeting is February 21st of this year. Thank you very much.
Thank you, good job.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Add one more thing that, to give Eric Seabury credit and Reach and WSP, that they approached tolling with the eastbound demolition. This has happened much sooner than planned. And to give credit to Frank and Dan, their guys, and the power actually ran across the entire canopy for all lanes, even though we weren't using them. And Frank and Dan and Lynch and Eric, they did a really good job of kind of not piecing it together. And that's why the westbound toll booths have to stay up. They're running at power to the current gantry. And Lynch was very innovative at WSP, trying to keep up with the schedule and gain some time. So we're really excited when that happened.
Good, good project manager.
Thank you.
Yeah. Motion to adjourn? Motion, second. Aye. Aye.